Jack.
See what I can do. First off, did everybody have a good week so far? Everything going good? Good to hear that. I really am. It's been a beautiful week so far with the weather and everything. So let's all get a little loose here. As we always do, get relaxed in your seat, feet on the floor. And we're going to tense and then relax our body, starting with the feet. So we'll start with the toes and the foot. Okay, here we go. Tense them up tight. Tense them, tense them. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Release. Now come up into your ankles. Tense them, tense them, tense them, tense them, tense them. Release. Now let's go into our calves of our leg, and that goes right up into the knees, because the calves and the knees are so usually tense and tight. So tense your calves and your knees and hold it, hold it, hold it, release. Now go into the thighs and into the buttocks. Tense the thighs and the buttocks. Tense it, tense it, tense it, release. Now let's go into the stomach and the solar plexus. Tense it, hold it, hold it, hold it, release. Going up into the chest area. Tense your chest, hold it, hold it, hold it, release. Let's do our shoulders and our arms. Tense the arms and the shoulders together. Think of fighting a bull and hold it, hold it, hold it, relax. Now into the neck area. Tense and tighten the neck. Hold it, hold it, hold it, release. Now let's do our face. Think of a real sour lemon and tense that face up. Tense it. Hold it, hold it, hold it, and release. Roll your head. Do a head roll here. Do a head roll. That's good. And when it stops cracking, you know you got it all relaxed. Go the other direction. Okay. Now let's all stand up. Spread your legs a little bit. Put your arms out. Let's move to the left and move to the right. Move to the left. Move to the right. Move to the left and move to the right. Get your hands up above your head. Shake them. Shake them. Let it go. Let it loose. Shake all your body. Let it go. Go. Relax. You may sit down. Where did you want to go to next?
That little music for about 5 minutes to get them in the...
Okay, we're going to do a musical, quiet meditation type thing.
Just your own thing, getting yourself centered.
And that's the one you're going to get, okay?
Karen's going to do that. Ready to get to work, huh? Do you have your mic on? Okay. It's on. Hello?
There you are. Now you're on.
Is everybody ready to get to work?
How many practiced in the last 2 weeks? Did we? Good, because it's very important that you practice, because we need to practice all of that in order to become aware and to remove all the obstacles that we have within. Remember last week when we where we wrote one of our problems and we burned it up and saw it get dismissed? Well, that's only part of what we're doing tonight. Tonight we're going into that inner child. And as you know, you heard me yell for Kleenex. So if it becomes emotional for you, please don't hold it back. Let it go. Because we're all energies. And when we're born, we come into this life, and at the moment we're born, that baby feels separation from its mother. How many people here ever feel completely alone or separated? Come on, let's see the hands. Absolutely. If you don't, you're not going to be normal. Then you're superseded everyone. Because it's that separation factor. Even though for that moment, now stop and think, as fast as they take that baby and they put it in the mother's arms, they just learned that. Before they used to take it, clean it up and put it in the mother's arms, or the midwife just would put it on the belly. But it's still that separation moment that we experience, whether it's a minute, maybe it's 2 minutes, or 3 minutes, we still experience that aloneness out in the world that we don't know anything about. Do we hold that with us? Absolutely. How about when a child, first of all, when you go to school, and you'll have abandonment issues when your mother leaves you at the door? How many people experience that with their own children? When you take a child and they just cry and they cry, some kids hold that, and maybe we do. See, now we're more open about it. But years ago, what did your parents tell you? You go in and you be quiet, you got to do this for the next 12 years. How many people got that said? So you might as well get used to it and stop your crying. How many parents told boys not to cry? A lot of them. You don't cry. It's not the man thing to do. So what happens, we build up all these emotions inside, and it leaves little, I like to say, engrams in our system, little blocks that we're not aware of. We're not even aware of them as we go through life. How about fears? Aren't we put fear in our life from the beginning? And we hold on to those fears. Why are we going to this? Because if we hold all of those, we're not getting to the soul part of what we need to. And we're all here because our soul is yearning for that expansion. It's yearning. Or we wouldn't be trying to do all these metaphysical things. So we're still learning. Are Jack and I still learning? Absolutely.
Sure.
Everybody that does a class is still learning. And we got to remember that. Even that teacher that teaches your child science, he's learning every day. He's learning from his students. And that's what we do. Why am I saying this? Because we're all part of the whole picture. And I want to explain, because like we're a mirror. When we look in a mirror, we're only that instrument that we see in that mirror. How many people understand when I say that? We're only what we see in that mirror. We don't see the depth what's inside, do we? Only when we truly look in our eyes, and sometimes we see the pain in our eyes, don't we? How many times do you see the pain in someone else's eyes, in someone else's face? Now I'm talking pains. It could be physical, it could be mental, it could be emotional. This is why we're on this experience, we're on this journey of experience in our lives. And part of that experience is going through all these problems. When you were born, you didn't sign up for the free life of nothing, because you came in knowing that you have to have your soul's growth, and that has to go periodically, and that's going to take a lot of pain, whether it be in a physical pain, whether it can be emotional pain, whether it could be some people are very happy. Some people never seem to have a problem on the outside. But what about in the inside? See, we're not aware of that. A lot of times they'll say, a lot of times a clown, when they're drawn to that, is they're very unhappy inside, but they're always smiling outside. Because you know what? They're trying to express what they want to be. Stop and think about that. Don't we do that a lot? We try to express something sometimes that we really want to be, but we don't look deep within that part of us that we don't peel off. How many women were told by their fathers, women don't go to college? How many people were told that? Absolutely. What did they do to you? Well, I can't get there. Didn't we give up? Or did it make us stronger? Sometimes it makes us more determined. But most of the time it leaves a hindering spot somewhere. It leaves that spot saying, I'm not good enough. Supposing you were, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Supposing you were not the best looking child and people laughed at you. And maybe you were too skinny, maybe you were too chubby, maybe you didn't have the right clothes, and maybe you didn't do this right. Part of that still stays with me, or we wouldn't remember it, would we? Think about that. It's because of those fears and those anxieties that we had built up from the time we were little. Because a lot of times we weren't told the truth. We weren't told the truth at that time. Now I'm going to mention something here, and I don't want everybody to get excited about this, but people had this problem all their lives because even before Jesus walked on this earth, this has taken place, They still had fights, they still couldn't get along, they still fought with each other, they fought for power, they fought for land, they fought for this. And when he came and he said, Jesus came back and he said, the Father and I and you are one, people still don't get it. They're still not connecting that part of the soul which is God. A lot of times you'll hear that we want to go to find the entity of our part. What is the entity? It's a presence within ourselves, that very presence. And that's the presence, like I'm going to explain it this way. I should have brought the whiteboard. This is God. So this is, sometimes people call it the oversoul. See, and then that soul, when we come down here, our soul is here, and we're split. We have a lot of different entities, facets of our soul. What my truth is, and what I believe, that's why we're on earth, to get all those soul parts together. This is my own truth. And I've had this for a very young age. Now think about this. We're on different dimensions. We can be all over. And until we connect all of those soul parts, do we not have to come back here? Then I think we have the choice. You can stay or you can do whatever you want to. But I believe until we line up that pattern in the other dimensions, and each dimension, has a different frequency. So this is very hard to do it in a class every 2 weeks, because we're talking about frequencies on different planes. And when we do a meditation, why are we doing this? Because you're going to connect into those different frequencies. Okay? And if we don't have part of those frequencies cleared up in our etheric, how many etherics do we have out here? We have all these etheric bodies out here. And we have to clean up all that junk, or we're going to bring it right in, and it's going to manifest. And sometimes that's why our meditations aren't working properly, or we're not connecting with the right material, because we're not peeling that onion and getting rid of those things that happened today. Name one thing that happened today to you that you you were upset about? Did anybody have anything today that disturbed you? Was it your job? Was it another person? Was it a negative comment you heard on TV? Was it something? This is all part of what I'm talking about. When we go into meditation, we have to clear all that stuff out, because that's all part of getting it all together. Another part is we have to look deep within inside. You know, when we look who we really are, we're not going to like everything we are. How many like everything they are? How many like themselves for everything they do, that they don't have any problems in the world, they don't have any hang-ups with their own life? Then why do we keep attracting this stuff? How often do we have to go through it? How often do we have to go through it? Evidently, that's why we've got to get it together. Because you know, the earth is going so fast, we have to get it together. Because if we're going to be the light workers of tomorrow, this is what we need to do. This is why we're all here. We're here for a part, to reach out and to help someone else. And sometimes it's very difficult when you live in a negative world, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's absolutely. But what do? Do we sit in that negativity, or do we clean it up and straighten it out and send out good thoughts and change that energy? See, so often we'll say, well, you'll hear this, and whatever you hear is going to be repeated. It's repeated for a reason, because maybe we didn't get it the last time. So if you have the same issues working over and over again, maybe it's not your issue, but it's everybody's issue. We're in a whole soul group here. So as a soul group, we have to work out issues. I truly believe that. I think we're all together as a soul. We decided that. So we all could be part, and we all are part of each other. Because we're all part of what? God. And that is in our journey. So when we're on this journey together, we have to find that entity in here. And it's a small spark in here, maybe on the left side of your heart, that comes in, and we need to go through this journey of life, facing these issues and getting over them, peeling away the onion. And as I said, it's got to be peeled away. No one can say, get over it. It's not going to work. And what happens, if you can talk about it, that's why we're here too. We're here to what? What is this? We're here to listen. And sometimes we hear the same story repeated over and over again. That's because that soul has to talk about it in order to release it. And a lot of us don't do that because we don't want to hear it. We'll say that's negative. No, you're supposed to be higher to change the vibration. That's why you're learning the meta development, to change your vibration on a higher frequency. And that's what we're doing. But first of all, we got to do this. And we know the true meditation is to what? Is to be true to yourself. Because only you can do it. You can make the difference. If you say, I am all that I am pure, positive, overflowing, ongoing energy in the universe. Every time you have a bad thing, if we remember that, we'll find the new joys that we have to experience. And we'll get rid of those little images, those engrams that are setting in there, that are getting us all anxiety and worked up. Because we have to, somewhere along the line, we have to get over the fears that we have. And by doing this, it goes down to what? Our belief structure. Did you hear what I said? Our belief structure. There's two kinds of belief, isn't there? There's universal belief, and there's a personal belief. Now, the universal belief, when I say that, it's what we were brought up with. You have to work hard to get ahead. How many of us were told that? Not you have to work smart. You have to work, but work smarter, not harder. And not only that, how many, like, no girls go to college. Women don't go to college. That's a universal thing when we were, now it's different, and I'm so happy that's changed. Then there's that personal belief we had, where we were told, well, we're not good enough. See, we're told we're not good enough. Or, you only got a B this time, it should have been an A. That's still saying, I'm not good, I'm not up to that level. And then what happens? Then our little personalities and our ego sits there, and then our ego says, well, you aren't good enough. Okay? You have the big ego and the little ego. So one will say, well, you're not good enough. And then you'll try extra hard, and you still get, you just feel like, then all of a sudden you'll see somebody else whose ego is so extended, and you wonder, say, where are they coming from? That they got to talk about themselves. I need to share this. I went to a class reunion. And one of our people that we haven't seen for 50 years comes into town. Well, he proceeds to hand out cards with all of the things he accomplished in his life. He's a doctor of this, a doctor of this, a doctor of this. I mean, he had like 4 PhDs from very valid universities. He had this, travels to Europe. He named all the countries he's been to. This was on a card that he handed. I should have brought it in. And when we were talking about this, we had thought, there sits the man who's administrator of a college in Washington, D.C., and he says, he's laughing. He's like hysterical. Like we're at the table, and he's like telling everybody this stuff and handing out these cards, and they were going, why is he trying to impress us? Why can't he just be good old Ronnie? We know he was very successful in the world. But you see, his ego was so extended that you have to wonder, did he accomplish all those things?
Or could it be that he wasn't pleased with Ronnie in high school? Could that be it?
That's true too.
You don't know what Ronnie was going through within himself.
But see, we knew Ronnie would always be a success because he was very, very intelligent. He was very intelligent, and he had everything going for him. So we knew he was going to go places. But Ronnie had a very difficult time in relationships, but he didn't tell us that part. He didn't say he was divorced 4 times. Do you know what I mean? And we're like sitting back, and you know how people start talking, so. And then we were like, they were laughing, they were saying, what is this card all about? And I said, well, he just needs to let people know who he is and what he did. But is that necessary? No. Because you know what? When I look at a card like that, I'm going, well, what did he excel in? What did he focus on in his life? See, he wasn't focused. He was all over the place that he had to do all this stuff. So, matter of fact, we look at that, especially go to your class reunions. It's wonderful because you see these different people that evolve, and they're so mellow and calm and not egotistical without egos, or their personality doesn't get inflated or deflated. And you see the ones that were very deflated in high school were very happy to be there, that were quiet. They became a little bit more sociable.
And they bloomed.
And
Yeah.
it's a wonderful experience. But that's the journey that we take in life. That's the journey. That's the difference between the personality and sometimes when our ego gets out of hand. But most of the time it's because of our beliefs. And when we believe those little things that were stupid in our life, what does it do to us? What does it do to us? It gets embedded. And so we have to get over all of that in order to get the real core of who we are inside. Because we know God created everybody, what? Unique and perfect and whole. Do you believe you were born in sin? Do you believe that? How many people believe that when you were born in sin?
No.
That's what we were programmed as, weren't we?
That's what we were taught.
Okay, so deep inside of there somewhere, we might have that little hang-up. See what I'm saying? We still might have that little hang-up. Because how many years were we taught that stuff? Many, many years. I truly feel the only sin is a sin against the Holy Spirit. And that's if people give messages that aren't from Spirit. That it's from their own head. Because the Holy Spirit will only tell truth. And so we got to work with that. Are we going to tell you that through all of this, that when we go in these deep meditations, that you're going to talk to the spirit world, or you're going to be doing all these fantastic? Absolutely not. When you get finished with this class, you're going to be way above that. Most of the time, that's on 4th and 5th level spirituality on frequencies that they're getting that thing. A lot of time, do we need to talk to Uncle Charlie? No. We need to have the consciousness of the Christ within ourselves, and that's what we do when we meditate and we open all these up. Now, Jack and I talked about this today, and I feel we're going to have to go into the chakras that you understand exactly where a lot of this is. And that's how many agree that want to go into that depth. If you want to go into that depth, because I'll tell you, it's worth it. It's worth it, believe me. Because then we can tell, and if everybody's honest with themselves, because you don't have to be honest with Jack or I, you've got to be honest with yourself. That's the main thing. Because we will go through it, and I'll get all my material out. But we were talking about that today, and I think that's the only way to get the true meditation, to get the true enlightenment. Because what we're going to do then, we're going to start bringing it down. We're not just going to bring it in our mind. We're going to bring it down with the beam of holy light. So at this time, I want everybody to think of something that was in your childhood, because we got to work on that to get rid of this stuff. And finding the God within you again, to finding God inside here. And the way we're going to get rid of that, because we're going to go into it, and I want you to really think of it, because you are love. God created you in absolute love. Absolute love. How can we explain that? Do you ever see a child that was born with severe handicaps? How happy they are. How full of love they are. Do you ever see a mongoloid child? How full of tenderness and love. I believe they were put on this earth to teach us something. To teach us, and sometimes we're missing the boat. Some people say, well, I can't look at that child that's crippled. Why can't you? That child was made in love. There's a reason. That's their journey in life. Because when we all look at that, we look at it differently a lot of times, because we were programmed that way. A lot of times years ago, if you had a child that had a physical handicap, what did they say it was? Come on. An evil spirit, or all of this, I mean, they really do. A lot of them did that. They hid them in a corner. If you had a retarded child, they were put in a closet.
That's because they felt that they did something wrong.
They were responsible. And
they were responsible.
Because what? It says in the Bible, your children should bear your sins. Nancy, what's that whole scope there?
Sins of the Father should be upon us.
Right. Now, do you think a God, a Father that loves us, would do that to us? No, absolutely not. It could be reincarnation, we're not knowing, but I'm telling you, I think it's to teach us a lesson, because they're kind of happy, aren't they? They're kind of happy. If you even see people that have dementia sometimes, some of them are very happy, aren't they? They're just like escaping the world. Like, say, I don't need this anymore. I'm going to go in my own world. But is that good? No, it's for us to learn, for the families to learn. But do we learn it? Do we learn it? Because I think now is a time that we have to really deep within, so we're going to get ourselves quiet as Reverend Jack is going to do this meditation, because it's to make you feel God within you. And then with the meditation, we're going to put on music. I want you to listen. I want you to release, because it's important. Go back to the time, I want to say 7. Go back, try to go back to the age of 7 and try to recall. Because that's the age that we usually remember what happens in our adult life. At 7. That's most of the time. It goes back to 7. Some can go back earlier, but most of the time it's around 7. So, why don't we do that? Reverend Jack. I think you can read that paper, can you, from here?
This one. You know, Isabelle was talking about things that we hang on to. Sometimes it's pretty hard to release these things. Now, in my, as an example, in my life, growing up, I always felt that my father didn't like me, that he didn't love me. And it created a lot of problems within me. In fact, I went through a period of early teen depression